Hello? Am I working? Hi. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's good to see you again. Hope you all have an amazing day so far. Has your week been good? Has your October been amazing? So I actually wanted to touch on this more in detail because this is, I think, something that's so important that gets overlooked and a lot of us don't take the time for it. And it's just overall joint health. Don't some of you feel like that sometimes? Feel like as we get older that we start feeling achy, things just start hurting, things just don't move right, we feel restricted, we feel limited, we've got pain in places that we didn't know we could have pain. So one thing that I always like to tell people, especially when you're doing exercise, fitness, physical activities, we want to start looking at longevity. We don't want to look at just now, let's just go intense, let's do the extremes, but we don't think about the long term. We don't think about how this repetitiveness affects us long term. This doesn't go for just the 30s, the 40s, the 50-year-olds, the 60-year-olds. This also goes for anybody, teens, 20-year-olds, starting now. We're looking at prevention and longevity of your physical health. We always hear about our elders or even people we know that aren't elders, that aren't even that much older than us. We could be 20s, 30s, 40s. You always hear that phrase, I wish I had done this different. I wish I had started doing that when I was younger. I wish I had changed that or done whatever it is specifically when they were younger, because now they're kind of paying for it. Your body's taking a toll for it, or you might have injuries or things that could have been prevented if you had started some form of prevention earlier. This can go for the extreme athlete or just somebody who's just exercising regularly. You don't even have to be an active person. There could be people that have had injuries either from accidents, car accidents, work related, or just simply walking up and down in stairs. What this video is gonna be kind of relating around is joint health. So this goes for shoulders, elbows, wrists, ankles, knees, hips, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. We all know when we were kids, when we were younger, in our single digits, we were flexible. We were flipping and flopping everywhere without a care in the world. Didn't bother us, didn't hurt us. But now, 20s, 30s, 40s, we're noticing more pain in certain areas, or when we get up or we get out, when we wake up in the morning, we get out of our beds, we're like, oh, it changes as we get older. There could be a lot of factors that play into that. It could be because you've had past injuries, but it also could be lack of movement, lack of exercise, lack of mobility, stretching. You could be sitting at your desk job all day in the same position. You could be sitting on the couch, or we have a job that requires a lot of physical work. So we are pushing, pulling, picking up, bending over, things that eventually take a toll on your body. So when you're doing these repetitive movements over and over again, day in and day out, as we get older, we literally have almost the same exact routine for years on end. Your body adapts to that. So I'm gonna give you a good little example. Back before I became a nutritionist, before I became a personal trainer, before I even got really into the fitness world, I worked in a dental office. I was an RDA, registered dental assistant, for 11 years. Some of you can relate to this when you are working over a patient. You're sitting and bending over a patient, doing whatever it is you're doing, in that same position for a long time. I didn't do any physical care, I didn't do stretching, I didn't do any mobility work at all at that time. So eventually what happened is this left side, because I was leaning like this all the time, this left side became elongated. All the muscle fibers, ligaments, tissues on this side. This side shortened. The ligaments, the tissues, the muscles started to shorten because I was in that position for a long time. I didn't do anything to help balance out those sides. My spine, naturally, because I was in that position all the time, eventually succumbed to that positioning. My shoulders were forward, I was kind of hunched over. And in turn, I started having physical issues, pain, and at the time, I was in my 20s. I was young. I drove like this in my car, or I was bent over this way. It naturally felt comfortable that way. The way I slept, the way I sit in car or chairs, wherever it was, it felt comfortable to be leaning to the side, because if I tried to lean to this other side, this right side of my body, everything was shortened. The ligaments, the muscles, the tissues were shortened. So granted, if I had all sat the other direction, it started to hurt. It was uncomfortable. It's just like when you start your beginning of your stretching, a tight muscle, it hurts. It's uncomfortable. So naturally you're gonna overcompensate. You're going to stay in that position. Moving forward, I ended up having issues with nerve, especially in my shoulders and my neck. So I ended up getting a pinched nerve really bad. That is a good example for you guys. So a lot of us, even the littlest things of just what you do daily at home or at work, no matter what it is, you're doing that repetitive positioning or that movement for so long, eventually if you're not balancing out in any way, you're gonna start noticing those issues. You go to do something specific, say you move weird, your body's not used to that movement, that stretching movement, whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, my back, or oh my gosh, my hip, oh my gosh, my inner thighs. A lot of times we might pull or strain a muscle that's on the inner thigh, or in our hamstring, or in our back and our sciatica. Same thing, shoulders, chest, back, neck. All of a sudden, boom, one and done, you're out. So you either have your muscles are inflamed, or you might have pulled a muscle because your body's not used to moving that direction. It's not flexible. As much as exercising and eating good is a great part of your fitness journey, it's also the joint health. The muscle tissue, the ligaments, everything that makes up your body and helps you perform all of these things need to be taken care of as well. Having better mobility in your joints and being more flexible, it's not related to just fitness, just to do cool moves, look cool in what you're doing. It's also for health and prevention of injury. Here's a good little example. So we're gonna pretend this is your ligaments that hold your joints together. This is a brand new rubber band, not stretched, it's pretty stiff. Now, if I were just to pull this and stretch it, it's probably gonna break. I'm not gonna do that because I do not want it to break in my face. If you work it in different directions and move it and just keep practicing this over and over and over a period of time, eventually you can stretch it really far and it moves in every single direction without breaking. That's a healthy ligament. That's how you want to visualize, that's the ligaments in all your joints. So your hips, your knees, your shoulders, your elbows, wrists, ankles. When you go to the gym, home, wherever you want, and you practice these warm-ups, these movements, these mobilities, and these stretching, over time, you're strengthening these ligaments. Just so happen you do fall down those stairs unexpectedly, and you're already practicing those movements. Your body is already used to that movement, that motion, that going that direction. Bounce back and recover a lot quicker than if you weren't. Being mobile, being flexible is not just about looking cool and being a human pretzel. So this is just about your physical health and the longevity of your joints. A lot of you might already be experiencing pain, maybe in your neck, your shoulders, you're feeling that tight, or maybe even starting to get pinched nerves. You might be feeling that tingling and numbness that go from your neck, your shoulders, down into your fingertips. You might be having back pain. You might be having pain in your hips. A combination of things. Working on mobility of your joints and also flexibility, improving that overall, it's going to help with muscle imbalances. So any side that you might have been favoring or overcompensating with, it's going to help balance things out, because then you're gonna start doing things more evenly versus like, oh, this side doesn't feel very good, so I'm gonna do, favor one side more than the other. It's also gonna eliminate your joint pain, back pain. It's going to improve your posture. So it's gonna take a good chunk of time, patience and consistency to get back to normal again. But anyone, I don't care who you are, your age, your condition, the injury, surgery, whatever it is you have, any person that works on something and is consistent can get back to health again, can maintain and preserve and strengthen what you do have. You start taking care of your joints. You start getting more mobile and flexible. Mobile, flexible, mobile, flexible. You're gonna also notice that performance and the way you perform certain exercises are gonna level up. You're gonna feel better, and you're gonna be able to do something you couldn't do before, and you're gonna be able to do it more safely. So, prevention of injury. Now you guys can pick and choose what's gonna best benefit you. So you wanna focus on your hips, or maybe you really wanna focus on your upper body. Maybe that's what you're struggling with. You can pick and choose what you want. I remember when I first started my stretching journey, I didn't do everything that I did now. I kind of just picked and choose what worked for me, what I really wanted to focus on, and then it just kind of started like evolving from there. So I mostly focused on my hamstrings because I got really tight hamstrings from all that heavy lifting, and I also started working on my shoulders and my neck and my back, and then everything just kind of progressed from there. Now I do a little bit of everything, like, you know, even down to my toes and my fingertip. But this is something that you can build on as you progress, as you get better, as you get more flexible. So don't overwhelm yourself at first. This is just a variety of things that you can refer to and choose from. This is just a suggestion, but I chose 2 days a week that I focused on like core, cardio to get myself warm up, and then I spent 30, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour stretching, doing everything. I spend 2 days a week doing that. Some people do it every single day. Some people maybe can only do it once a week. Maybe some people do it every other day. It really is up to you, what you can fit into your schedule, what works with your lifestyle. Through that short period, that transition period of, you know, being patient, patience is key, you guys, when coming to something, because it's rough. When you're tight and you're restricted and you don't have the patience, maybe your mind's running a million miles an hour, you're gonna be like, I can't sit and do this. Lose the patience, lose the focus. But maybe this is a good time for you to slow it down, to reconnect with yourself, like calm your mind, calm your spirit, calm your body. This would also teach you how to stay calm in just daily life. Another really important thing when you are stretching is always be warmed up. Always be warmed up, and that means maybe walking on the treadmill or doing jumping jacks, high knees, just getting movements before you go into stretch. Warming, getting the blood flow going, getting everything, your muscles activated and warmed up. Don't go into something cold, because otherwise you're going to hurt yourself. When I warm up, I do like 20 jumping jacks, 20 high knees, and then 20 butt kickers. And then I start getting into my movements. On my real long stretching days, I'm usually doing like my 10 minutes of cardio beforehand. You gotta work into it. You gotta flow into it. So when you're doing something specific, especially stretching, you're going to focus on breathing, and you're gonna go until your body it feels a little uncomfortable, and you're gonna stop there and you're gonna hold it. Time yourself, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Focus on relaxing every single muscle fiber, muscle tissue, everything in your body. Focus on just letting go. Every time you inhale and then exhale, then you want to relax a little bit deeper into that stretch. It's a key thing to remember that's very important, and how you can keep progressing in whatever stretching that you're doing. If you don't do that, you're never going to progress into being more flexible. Blah, 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 blah. You know what's funny is sometimes I'm sitting on the couch and I'm sitting in some weird awkward position, and my husband will look at me and be like, that just looks so uncomfortable. And I'm like, actually it's not. It feels really good. When you get that flexible, it doesn't matter how you sit, where you sit, you're just gonna feel good. So having the knowledge that you do on joints, you're gonna have to modify it obviously to your specific condition. So if you're a healthy individual, you could perform these no problem. But if you're somebody who has suffered from either joint pain or arthritis, or maybe you had surgery, maybe you have an injury but you haven't had surgery, you've replaced your ACL, any of those things can go to any specific joints. You obviously have to modify it and structure something according to you. Now, if you're working with somebody, maybe a chiropractor, maybe, or you're working with somebody that specializes in that specific area, you're working with maybe, doing some rehab. But these are something that you want to do and be religious with, especially if you want to come back from, maybe you do have restrictions, limitations, maybe you're having pain. You want to recover from that. You want to get better you want to get better, you want to get stronger, you want to get more flexible, you want to get more mobile, you want to feel good, you want to feel healthy. These can be used as warm-ups. Any of these can be used as warm-ups, and you can obviously tailor it, adjust it according to what you're doing. Like for me, for example, when I'm doing an upper body day, something that focuses on upper body, I mostly focus on warming up from my hips up, whatever I'm going to be tackling that day for the gym. Or if I'm focusing on lower body, I will focus on lower body joints. And I'll do a little bit of warming up of the upper body, but you can obviously emphasize on a certain muscle group or a certain upper lower body depending on what you're doing. Warm-ups do not have to be 30 minutes. They can be 5-10 minutes. You can run through these all once. I usually warm up, like I said, I'm doing jumping jacks, I'm doing high knees, something just to get my blood flow going, activate the muscles. Now, once I'm warmed up, I usually am always going to my hip rotations, just like this. I do about 10 each side, moving in all different directions. You can see how I'm moving forward and back. I'm doing a big circle when I'm doing this. You're creating better range of motion in those hip sockets. Then after I do that, I usually go to my knees. So it's rolling inwards, circles inwards. I put my hands on my knees just to help kind of guide myself, and then I'll roll outwards. So you can see how I'm moving forward, backwards, inwards. I'm moving this range of motion. I'm going in all different directions, inwards, outwards. Some of you might have knee pain. Some of you might have joint pain. You can only do really small movements. That's okay, that's a start. Be consistent, you're gonna get stronger, you're gonna get more flexible, you're gonna get more mobile. But you have to start small, you have to start somewhere. Then I will go together, and then I go outwards. Also, you're gonna probably notice when you're doing these knee rotations, you're actually also rotating and moving your ankles. So you're gonna create better mobility in your ankles, which is key as well. Make stronger ankles. I also like to roll my ankles in and outwards. Again, can be like 10 reps. And see, if you're doing this as a warm-up every day, that 10 reps is gonna be fine. You're doing it every single time before you work out. You're gonna get better, you're gonna get stronger, you're gonna progress a lot faster. So you can do them on your hands and knees, or you can stand up, you can hold on to something, but I will rotate, again, lifting and rotating, circular motions, outwards. Again, range of motion, moving that hip joint around in that socket. Then I go backwards and forwards. Again, just moving in all different directions. Same thing. And some of you aren't gonna be that flexible. Maybe you're gonna only be able to move like this, and maybe you're gonna be very stiff. It's a start. So don't get discouraged if you're just like, ha. Start somewhere, we all start somewhere, okay? I was not ever this flexible, and I was never this mobile. So again, inwards, outwards, for about 10 on each side. You can see how those are very basic movements, and if you're repetitive with them, and you're consistent with them, doing it every single day before your workout, you're gonna warm up, you're warming up those joints. Over time, you're gonna notice better performance in your training. So when you are doing lunge motions, squat motions, or anything that requires legs, you're gonna all of a sudden notice that you're gonna be able to move more freely and better, and less injury, less issues. Your joints are not gonna bother you. Sauna pose, and this is really good for even your hip flexors, your quads, and the joints. But a lot of us aren't gonna be able to get into this right away. You can hold on to something, or you can sit onto something, which we'll be showing you that. But you're getting down into this position. You're getting to the point where you can actually sit this low instead of straight without restriction. When I'm in this position, I like to sit and I like to rock. It's not a big movement, so this is a progression exercise, just remember that. But you get into this and start moving that different direction, and then rotating, coming down into these different movements, coming forward, or even this movement where I'm here, I can come down here and come up. No pain, no issue, no pressure. I feel very strong doing that movement. So this was something that I have only recently started doing in the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, but I progressed to that point. So you can see that just like anything, just like any muscle group that you're going to the gym, you're lifting weights, you're trying to get stronger, you're trying to make progress in something specific. Just like anything, the same thing goes for your joints too. You have to work at it to make it stronger. To shoulders, I like to do very basic movements before I go do an upper body workout. I do circles, so it looks like this. Circles forward, circles backwards. I like to rotate like this, so you're just doing like an L shape, bent with your arm and moving forward and up and down just like this. Again, moving that joint in all different directions. I'm across my chest, just like this. Doing that for 10, 1, 1, 2, 2, up and down. 1, 1, 2, 2. Rolling your shoulders back, rolling them forward. Doing that for 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are mobility warm-ups and mobility exercise. You're moving and focusing on that range of motion for your joints. You're moving it in all different directions. So think about it when you go to do something, because you can actually move in those directions. You're not gonna have the limitations, you're not gonna have the pain, and you're not gonna end up with the injury. Your recovery is gonna be so much faster too. And like I said, you're only running through them one time. You're doing this consistently as a warm-up every single day before your workout. You're gonna make progress, and it's gonna start clicking. You're gonna start feeling better. You're gonna start having more range of motion. You're gonna start noticing your aches and pains are gonna go away. Now, those of you that do have injuries or suffered or had a surgery, some of you, it's gonna take a lot longer. It's gonna take a little bit more work and patience and consistency, but don't avoid it. So you're avoiding it, thinking that you're doing yourself good is not doing yourself good. You're making it worse. You have to get over that fear that I'm gonna re-injure myself, because you're not if you follow the proper protocol and you actually take care of yourself correctly and you do it properly. So these mobility stuff, and like I said, you can do it slow. And if you don't feel comfortable enough doing it on yourself, work with somebody. You know, follow a professional or work with a specialist. That can't reach when you're stretching and doing things on the ground and you can't reach yourself. You can use a strap, you can use a resistance, like one of those long loop bands, to help you reach your legs or your feet if you can't quite reach it. So if you're in this position here and you're just like, you can't reach it, you can actually, you know, strap around the bottom of your feet and use this to pull, so then you can actually reach. And always remember, when you're doing this kind of a stretch, you're not like this rounding your back, because you're not doing yourself any good at all. So what you want to do is always remember, you want to try to bring your belly button to the tops of your thighs. Your chest should come towards your shins. So if you're in this position, just like this, you want to be pulling forward and trying to keep as straight back as possible. You know, pulling forward, then you get that stretch in your hamstring. Same thing when you're in this position, you can here. So instead of going like this, you want to keep up tall, sit tall, try to keep that straight spine, bringing your belly button towards your thigh, chest. And I hear a lot of people, especially those who are more advanced in being flexible, or if they've done gymnastics or dance, they always say you want to kiss your shin. I started applying that, so you want to try to kiss your shin when you're coming down, when you're stretching into this motion, or getting into this movement. So here you can pull here, another good movement here, so you're lying flat. You don't want to be arching, you don't want to have a gap here like this. You want to try to focus on bringing that pelvis up and trying to flatten your spine to the floor, okay? This is going to prevent back pain, back injuries, or you overcompensating using your back. So pelvis tilt forward, which a lot of us lack, is that flexibility in our pelvis. So you want to, so if you can see, like, if I'm laying like this, that's not correct. So what you want to do is tilt, so you can see how I'm tilting my pelvis up, and my back is flat to the floor now. I never used to be able to do this. I used to be stuck like this. I could not flatten myself because of my restrictions. So now that you have that flexibility, you get that flexibility, that is going to protect your spine. You want to pull this knee towards your chest. So this is gonna help with your hip flexors, and also stretching of your quads, your glutes, things that we want to be flexible. So you can either here, just like this, if you can reach, it allows you to be that flexible. Otherwise, you would take this, you can be here, and you can pull just like this, okay? So we flex here, you're pulling down, and then you would hold this. You can do this for a count, or you can do this for a time, 30 to 60 seconds, depending. So here is an example of coming up against the wall. So you just try to scoot your butt all the way up to the wall till you're flat. Then you come down into this position. So then you have this leverage to be able to push your knees. So then you have the wall and you have that leverage to be able to help yourself progress a little further into this movement. So you would push, you can push on your knees, and over time, you know, as you progress, as you get more flexible, then you can push up against the wall. So this way is a lot more easier to get into this position up against the wall. Another good one is the frog position. So you'd end up in here and you would come down to where you're stretching on the inside. You're also helping to improve the flexibility and the range of motion in your hip flexors. Now you're not gonna be like this. You want to have a supine straight back. So some of you might have to sit like this. Maybe you can't come down to here. You don't have that flexibility. So you're gonna have to find where it's comfortable for you and just sit there. You're just sitting there, and the key to progression with this one is you want to push down and back, okay? Down and back, down and back. And then bringing your feet out further is gonna create a deeper stretch. So you're gonna have to find where your limitation is right now and work with that. So you're here, and again, it's pushing back into that movement. You're gonna feel the stretch in those hip flexors. You're gonna feel it right in here. Start with those are good beginner progression exercises, and then go from there. As you progress, you can add to your movements. Go a little bit deeper. You can go a little bit more extreme with it to progress even more. I still do all of these warm-ups to this day. I'm doing this for about, I don't know, 3-4 years now, and I still do it as my warm-up before every single exercise. So these are just some stuff to get you started. Like I said, you can pick and choose and structure, modify according to you specifically, but you know, we're looking at longevity here. Longevity and prevention, and no matter your age, your condition, what you've been through, you can recover and you can get stronger and you can get better. It's gonna be individually based. And I can tell you right now, to sum it all up, to finish this video, is I feel way better now in my 30s, so I'm 35, than I did in my 20s. My 20s, I didn't focus on physical health or the longevity aspect of it, and it was taking a toll on my body. I backed off the heavy lifting, so I still do resistance training, but I'm not focused on just this heavy lifting all the time. And I'm focusing on, you know, just that flexibility and that mobility. My recovery is a lot better. My posture's better. I just feel comfortable when I'm going and doing things and I'm sitting. I don't feel restricted and uncomfortable that I can't sit in certain positions. Overall, I just feel amazing and great. Way better than my 20s, which is surprisingly. In my older age, I'm not old by any means. It just goes to show you, when you start taking care of yourself, your body, it's gonna take care of you. And you're just gonna feel better in everything you do. It's not even about being an advanced athlete or going to the gym. This is just general health, and just as we age, as we do get active, as we do different things, and just being healthy and being able to, the longevity of things, being able to still do things no matter what. When we get older, what we do to ourselves, we just stop taking care of ourselves. We just stop doing things. We get busy lives, we become parents, and we just stop taking care of ourselves. But that's not an excuse. You should still take care of yourself and be an example too. Being an example is important of that, you know, passing on those good habits and those healthy habits. You know, where there's a will, there's a way.